The album, It's a Hard Life, first of all, I'm so happy to have it. I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity to get back in the studio again and to record a new album after so many years. We started talking, when I say we, me and Taylor Pye started talking about doing an album, gosh, several years ago, and it's taken several years for it to actually come to fruition. And actually it was the weekend of Easter in 2018 that we went to a studio in Wimberley, Texas called the Blue Rock and began the recording process. There was myself and 3 musicians in the room. It was recorded live, my vocals, if I may offer an explanation for any imperfections, maybe, or the unpolishedness of my vocals, because those were all live too. There was no overdubs on the vocals or chances to repeat anything. We did the basic tracks there and then came back to the Sound Emporium in Nashville and did some overdubs and some harmonies, and Dave Pomeroy on bass, Russ Paul on the steel guitar, and Gene Elders on fiddle, and now he played with Lyle Lovett and George Strait. So just Jeff Plankenhorn played a bunch of different instruments. He's just so mega talented. And then Taylor Pye, she played mandolin and harmonica and guitar, and she's multi-talented too. And one of my favorite things about the album is I got a chance to work sort of with Alan Reynolds again, who was the producer of my Curb album back in the late 90s, and Mark Miller, who was the engineer on that album. He engineered and co-produced It's a Hard Life. And Alan Reynolds, we managed to get him and Mark both off the golf course long enough to come into the studio, and Alan came and lent his knowledge and wisdom and expertise in recording, and also sang some harmonies with me, which just tickled me to death. Overall, the album is an album of 10 songs. There's a lot of story songs. There's some positive songs. There's also some that are not quite so positive. And it's sparsely produced and gives me, if you like my singing, an opportunity to be heard above the instrumentation. And again, I know I can't say this enough, but I'm truly grateful for the opportunity that was afforded me to record this album. I was just glad to get back in the studio. It's one of my favorite places to be, to create music that hopefully somebody will get some benefit out of, make them think differently about things or feel differently in some way. And it's a hard life. Indeed it is, sometimes. It's a Hard Life was written by Nancy Griffith and came out, I believe, in 1989, but the version that I heard, that I fell in love with, was when Miss Emmylou Harris did Live at the Ryman, and that's the first time that I heard that song. And over the years, listening to that song on that CD, Live at the Ryman Auditorium, it seemed like the older I got and the more time I spent listening to it, the more it meant to me. And I think it's a song that needs to be heard again in today's day and time, because it has a great message and a great meaning about hatred and not accepting others who are different than you are. So I'm proud to not only have it as a song on my album, but for it to be the title cut of the album. A father's love is very special to me. Of course, it's a true story. It's a song that I wrote with my friend Taylor Pye, also co-producer Taylor Pye. I had written a song with her and Hunter Davis back in the mid-90s. It was a song that I wrote for my mother, for my adopted mother. I was adopted when I was a week old. That song was called Look What Love Can Do. And so that was really more for my mother. And I wanted to do just one more song, just one more adoption song, I promise. And that's it. But this one's for my adopted father and how he was able to love me as though I were his own child, his blood. Despite any difficult upbringing he might have had or hard life that he might have had. It's really a celebration or a testament to his ability to love me beyond DNA. I love story songs. Catfish John is a great story song. As a matter of fact, I would love to have had someone like Catfish John in my life when I was growing up. It sort of brings home, though, memories of growing up in South Mississippi. It's sort of kind of from the Mississippi River and the magnolias, and I love the character that is Catfish John in that song. And it was written by Alan Reynolds and Bob McDill. And I believe Johnny Russell was the first person to cut it. It was also recorded by the Grateful Dead. And I humbly offer my version of Catfish John, which I'm very proud of. The song, The Blues You and Me, is, I've heard it said on a lot of television shows, on the singing competitions, where they would talk about their wheelhouse. Well, I don't know what a wheelhouse is, but The Blues You and Me is definitely not in my wheelhouse, but that's what made it fun, I think, to record, because it gave me an opportunity to stretch a little bit and do something that wasn't maybe quite so traditional country. I was written with Herb McCulloch. I wrote that with Herb McCulloch and Taylor Pye, and it's just a nice little change-up there, sort of at the beginning of the album, that I'm very proud of. Where I'm Standing Today is a very special song to me. I wrote the song with, not because of who I wrote it with. That's special enough that I got the opportunity to write with the Hall of Fame songwriter Pat Alger. But I'd had the first four lines of the song in my pocket, so to speak, for a long time, and had tried to write it with some different people. But when I sat down to write with Pat Alger and told him my first four lines and sort of told him a little bit about myself and my history, my past, some of which he had heard. He had heard about. I don't know, he just got it. And I'm really pleased with the way that it turned out. It is a song that we wrote as a thank you to a lot of people in my life that helped me along the way when I was having kind of a rough time in my life. And I hope that it might be inspiring to other people who are also going through a hard time in their life, whatever it may be, alcoholism, depression. It's good to have people to help you out in a rough patch, and I'm very fortunate that I had people to help me out in a rough patch. So it's a thank you to those people for their love and support. Home Sweet Honky Tonk, gosh, I've loved that song for years. It was written by Jim Rushing and Carl Jackson. And I don't know, it's just one of those songs that you can close your eyes and listen to it, and you can see all the things that are being described and sang about in the song. It's a little bit of a dark song, as the name implies, honky tonk, and it was a little bit of a departure from some of the other songs that are on the album. A little bit maybe lighter hearted in a way that we needed, I think. Riley, Bring Your Fiddle Around is a fine bluegrassy number that was written by my co-producer and friend and co-writer, Taylor Pye. She wrote that one all by herself, and it too is a story song, which I absolutely adore story songs. As I mentioned earlier, it was about a friend of hers named Riley, and the relationship that they had as friends and neighbors, and it's a great song. It's got some great fiddle on it. The song Straight From My Heart is a love song, and it was written by myself and Taylor Pye. And I don't usually do love songs, but I think Taylor Pye sort of got tired of me always wanting to write negative or dark songs, and so she said, let's, brighten things up just a little bit and do a love song. So this song is to celebrate people whose love has stood the test of time through thick and thin, no matter what has come along their way. And it's a sweet song, so that song goes out to all the lovers out there. Gosh, They Don't Know was written several years ago. That's a song that me and Taylor Pye have had in our pockets for a long time. I think we wrote the song about someone that I had dated in my life that a lot of people kind of scratched their heads at why in the world would she be dating that guy, or why would that guy be dating her, because we didn't seem to go together. But obviously there was something there, and so the song is about the friends and acquaintances around you when you're in a relationship that they don't necessarily get, but then there's things that you see that they don't see, and so therefore they don't know. Walking on the Moon is a nice song at the end of the album, a very nice little moment with just me singing and Taylor Pye, who is a co-writer on that song with Herb McCullough, playing the guitar. We did it in one take, and it's my favorite song that Taylor Pye has ever written. I love to hear her sing it, but I just had to give it a shot myself. The song is sang from the perspective of a child, and but if you listen to it, if you're an adult like myself sometimes, it's really, to me, what it means to me is it's kind of a testament to what one day that I hope to be, the kind of person that I would like to be one day when I grow up.
And it's a hard life, it's a hard life, it's a very hard life, it's a hard life wherever you go. And if we poison our children with hatred, then a hard life is